what's up, guys? This is Andre Joseph, AJ Epics Productions, on this latest special episode of Unfinished Business Television. As always, the main man himself, Mr. Jeff Galashaw.
Nanu, old friends.
And for this very special episode, we have a very special guest who happens to be a fan of the show that we're going to be talking about today. Her name is Tamara Lechner, who is also an actress and personal friend and, girlfriend of my close buddy, Mr. Albert Albanese. And welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so happy to have you on because our episode today is going to be focused on this phenomena that just hit Netflix late last year called Wednesday. And yes, it's the Wednesday based on the classic Addams Family TV show and the movies from the 90s. And this is not the typical Addams Family that we've been used to that's focused on this Gothic family in their mansion and dealing with the outside world. No, this is like a detective story, all focused on one particular character in the form of Wednesday Addams, played by the surprisingly amazing Jenna Ortega. And that's the one thing that I gotta say, with going into this with low expectations, I was shocked how much I really enjoyed the show. Totally outside the box, not what I expected, but as a mystery series with those humorous elements and having to be produced and directed by Tim Burton, I was really impressed with how this show turned out. Tamara, why don't you talk about your thoughts on it so far, like your initial thoughts from watching the season?
So I heard about it from a lot of people that it was very good. I'm not a huge Addams Family fan. I am familiar with the movies, and I said to myself, before I get into the Wednesday series, I want to go back and watch the movies. I got to watch the first Addams Family, and then I watched Wednesday, and I really liked the difference between Wednesday and the movies. You know, I know like sometimes we recreate things and it's common, especially in film. But I think that the way that Wednesday went and how different they made it, having it focus on just really Wednesday and when she goes to like this new school, I really like everything that they did with it. And I think it's going to be a successful show in the future.
That was my sense too, was the fact that typically you would think, oh, they're going to just have her in a normal high school, deal with normal people that can't stand her, and then she does all the weird shit. Like if you ever saw the second movie, Addams Family Values, and I've seen both films in the theaters and loved them both. Yeah. That's pretty much what's been the common theme with the Addams Family movies. But here, putting her into this school with a lot of these freaks and weirdos just like her, and then having this murder mystery go on was just something that was a nice, refreshing change of pace. Yeah. And doing it in a way where they don't stray from this character's personality whatsoever. This is really the Wednesday Addams we're used to, but done in a manner where it's like, oh, I'm not going to leave the school. I'm actually interested in what's going on here. I want to find out who's actually killing all these students and teachers. Jeff, tell us about your thoughts on it.
Okay, well, I love Addams Family Values Part 2, which mainly has a side plot dealing with Wednesday Addams. So I was interested when the series was announced. And then when I found out Tim Burton was behind it, and it's like, oh, a movie or a show that it fits his sensibilities more. And I will admit, initially, I enjoyed it for what it was. I can't say I loved it, because it still brings up a lot of problems I have with Tim Burton as a director and his body of work and how he treats certain characters. So, again, I can enjoy it for what it's worth, but if you want to have a deeper conversation about it, it's like, oh, I got stuff to point out here and there all about, this series. I was kind of shocked by his casting also, in the lead role, but that also goes back into some of the things he's apologizing for, I feel. But again, it's another show which is, he has this tendency to want to remake everything he grew up with and was a fan of, but only in his vision and more modern. And hey, I can respect that when you're good. Like, this is the first time he really did that, and it was really good. or at least better than his usual, so I was happy for that. But yeah, I'll let you guys go on until I start really want discussing my issues with him and partially the series.
Well, yeah. For people who may not know, Tim Burton was actually up for the 1991 Addams Family movie and turned it down. I think because he was doing either Edward Scissorhands or maybe he was preparing for Batman Returns. And we ended up with Barry Sonnenfeld, who I thought did a fantastic job with both films. So this is kind of coming full circle with him coming back into that world. And I think at one point he even toyed with doing it as a stop motion movie before we got those CGI animated films, which I still have not seen. I know people that like them, but I haven't gotten around them yet, so I can't really speak on those. I guess I want to start with the Addams Family themselves, even though they're not a big presence in the show outside of Wednesday. It's interesting the people that they got together. Now, Catherine Zeta-Jones was dead on Morticia. That was perfect. I thought, look, it's hard to compare when you have Angelica Houston in the original, and sorry, I don't know the actress from the TV show, which I didn't grow up with. I watched the cartoon back on Saturday morning after the movie came out. But no, Catherine Zeta-Jones was dead on. I'm 50-50 with Luis Guzman as Gomez. And it's not because Raul Julia is a god amongst actors, and I miss him dearly to this day. But it's just, I don't know. I love Luis Guzman. I don't see him as Gomez. That was just the thing that kind of threw me. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I'll let you go, Tamara.
Okay. Yeah, I have to agree with the Luis Guzman thing. Like, I love Raul Julia. I mean, like, everybody does. You can't help it. But like, there's just a certain quality that was missing in Luis's interpretation for me. Like, I mean, I do like there's one part where, spoiler alert, she goes to the prison to see her father, Luis, and I liked that scene a lot. I felt like, it really helped us to see what their relationship is like, and like the respect that she feels towards her father, and you could see like his concerning quality and the compassion and everything, but I just felt like he wasn't really captivating me from the start.
Yeah.
First get introduced to his character.
Yeah, I know they had like those scenes where they had him aged, so the younger version of Gomez, which actually looks better than he does, to be honest, and probably would have wanted more of him. But yeah, it felt like it was kind of weird, and I can't buy him and Captain Zeta-Jones together. That's just me.
It's like a sitcom, King of Queens. You have the hot woman, and then you have the more schlubby guy. So I think they were going for that quality. I mean, Luis Guzman a little more fits maybe the more original, like, comic strip version of Gomez. Mm-hmm. But again, when he's called upon to do drama, Luis Guzman is tight as Gomez. But in the other scenes, you just feel like he just looks like almost like a creepy pet to Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
And he's like all over her, and she's like, yeah, okay, calm down. But he did actually add the Latin factor to Jenna Ortega's character, so that now I guess the family is, supposed to be a little more of color with Latinos. And that was where a friend brought up to me, who is of Latin descent, and brought up, wait, they're a Latin family, but they never speak any Spanish to each other. Like, she doesn't call her father Papi or anything like that. That took her out of the show. And watching the show, again, my problems with Tim Burton, that element was just another thing that add to the thing, because I know he, in the past, has had some things to say, about, like, he can't, he doesn't really know how to write for minorities. That's why he doesn't usually cast them. And I feel like this was also a little bit of an apology by making the lead, a Latina actress. But also, he still does the things that he has problems with in race. Black antagonist, even though not the ultimate villain, Wednesday's main antagonist during the show. Black girl, a black woman whose mother is a hustler. And also, as somebody pointed out, which to me is hilarious, there's all these rain scenes. Why do none of the black people have umbrellas? Like even in the beginning, when they're investigating the murder, the sheriff has a hat and an umbrella, and the black female deputy is almost blinded by rain and is trying to do her lines. Then at the mayor's funeral, everybody has an umbrella. His family's just left sitting there in the rain. It's like, Tim Burton, you still kind of have learned nothing in all this. I'm glad you're casting more minority and you're trying, but it's just so bad. And you don't know what you're doing. And that's the worst part. And it's a shame because I feel like when he started making his films are about outcasts, and a lot of minorities identified with those films. And he had this huge minority fan base, and then when he gets older, it's like kind of a slap in the face when he's like, I don't understand them. And it's sort of like, dude, you know? So it's kind of like, and that is why I feel he has this separation from his audience. He also tends to complain about the studios and the powers that be and not being for hire. But face it, you're kind of one of those people who are the powers that be. You've made enough hits that you have say over your projects. So you can't act like, oh, my artistic vision, I'm an innocent victim. So, you know, that's part of the thing. And, you know, the series, like I said, I want to like it, but I still see those streaks of him in it that are the more disturbing parts of him than I would like. But again, I like the series for what it is, as long as you don't look too much deep.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know there were people who probably were complaining that it was woke, you know, having a Latina Wednesday, and that never bothered me. Because again, I grew up on the movie with Raul Julia. The race issue was never a factor. And if anything, I felt two things: that Jenna Ortega was just incredible. And not knowing much about her outside of having seen her in Scream, and I know, you know, like the Disney stuff back in the day, but my God, she nailed it. Just, we all talk about the dance scene, that's a big craze right now, but just from start to finish, her mannerisms, the times when she does crack a smile, and it's like in those right moments, and just her detective skills, her chemistry with Thing, I thought she, you know, she was a total winner. Like, to me, she became a superstar overnight by watching her on this show. And you know, there's just nothing that she did that was totally wrong. And I think the fact that you have Christina Ricci in there as sort of the mentor figure, one of the teachers in the school, who has an interesting twist that maybe some people see coming, maybe some people don't. I think that's a nice, like, little rub to say, you know, we're down with her. And that, I think, made it that much sweeter to watch this show.
I think it has the dumbest villain ever. In the end, you know, I'm not going to spoil it, but it was just like, we went through all that for that. It was kind of a disappointing ending. I like the supporting cast. I'm not a big Fred Armisen fan, but I thought he was okay.
I thought he was good as Uncle Fester. Yeah,
I just thought he was okay. I wasn't. Now, once we talked about Colin Farrell as a Penguin. Now, if Colin Farrell could have pulled off that role, I would have given him props.
Yeah, I just miss Cousin It. Maybe they get Johnny Depp next season.
And ruin the face cameo.
Have you seen him lately without his facial hair? I mean, he could do it.
It could seem like it would be a voice-only role.
It would work. He did Rango.
True.
So, Tamara, what was like a standout moment for you on the show?
Well, I liked trying to figure out with Wednesday what was going on. Like, who was the monster? Who was responsible for everything? Who was the mastermind behind it? And I kept like making my predictions every single episode. We were talking about the villain. I was not expecting who the villain was. I thought it was someone else. Okay. And then that theory got proved wrong. I thought, and I was like, oh my God. So now who could it possibly be? I mean, I was left on the edge of my seat every episode. So I thought they accomplished that pretty well. For a standout moment, I have to say, of course, the dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know Jenna Ortega gets like tired of hearing about it. Like now they ask her, "Oh, can you do the dance for us?" at every interview, and she gives them like a look, like I'm not doing that. I'm over that. She's over that already, I think. But I also like the moments where she was with Morticia when they had their scenes together, like in the graveyard and down in the crypt. One of my favorite episodes is the episode where they go back in time and you get to see Morticia and Gomez as younger kids and like everything that happened in Nevermore. I love that episode. And I also like the moments with Enid. I think she was a good contrast to Wednesday with their personality.
Yeah.
And I like how, it takes a while for them to kind of get used to each other and like get comfortable and form a bond, which makes it all the more satisfying in the end when they finally like accept each other just as friends the way they are.
Yeah, that was an interesting relationship between them, especially since that girl was like so uppity and, sunshines and rainbows, and yet she's like a werewolf. That was like the nice little twist there. And having that sort of back and forth between her and Wednesday, like you would have thought she would have been the antagonist ultimately, but that wasn't the case. And I did like that they kept you guessing who the killer was, because when you do see the creature for the first time, and it's that typical kind of Tim Burton type of creature with the eyeballs and stuff, you think it's going to be one character, and then they kind of throw you off. It's like, nope, we're going to kind of swerve this here and there. So I like the way that they kind of twisted and turned till you got to that point towards the end. And Sting is always still the stand-up. That's why I have this right here. It's just like a doctor thing my dad has. It's a, decoration for the episode, and for another episode we just did a while ago. It was cool seeing that they made Thing like have all the patches and stitches, and it wasn't going to be like the same as what we've been used to. And that one episode where we found him dead, I wanted to cry. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I was attached. Like, please, let's not get rid of him right away. Let's not be that subversive. And thankfully, he got revived. But Thing was like a good little pet / partner for Wednesday throughout the show to help her find all these clues and have those moments where like give the finger and do all that.
Well, the one scene, I guess I was shocked, was when, spoiler alert again, they kill off Gwendolyn Christie's character. I didn't foresee that coming. I was like, oh, she's going to be a series regular, so you can't kill her off. So when they did that, I was like, wow, they really, are trying to be like, yeah, it's never who you think, or no one is safe. I mean, most of the kids were safe, but, And I guess what I thought was kind of a little cheesy, but I understand why they need to do it. This like Nevermore being like Harry Potter, like Pottermore, when realistically, I always understood the monsters were monsters, but Addams Family, I just thought were just really strange. I never thought of them really having powers or anything, and now it's like, oh, ha ha ha, So I thought that was convenient. And I understood why it was done, but it was like a little like, okay, we're tying some things together. But, it didn't disturb me or be like, oh, F this series,
Yeah, but they've always like tried to kill each other in the movies, and nobody really got
it. We never saw it. Really.
I mean, how many times did Uncle Fester like try to kill Gomez? Or no, in the second one with Joan Cusack trying to kill Uncle Fester and failed at every turn.
Yeah, I just thought he was tough. But yeah, like I said, I enjoyed it for what it was. Again, I didn't quite love it. And in fact, the only reason I watched it is because one of my friends who's like a horror, aficionado was like, it's worth it, watch it, because I wasn't going to watch it at first. Even though I like Jenna Ortega, I was just like, I don't want to see, Tim Burton's bastardization of the Addams Family. And I'm glad she did suggest it to me, even though we've had many discussions about it and the problems we both have with it. But in the end, it's entertaining,
Look, I was hesitant too until I started hearing all the reviews, how great it was. I was like, let me give it a shot. And then, yeah, first episode, I was hooked. I really liked what was being done there. And, look, we're never going to get a third movie because Raul Julia is no longer with us. Everybody's too old. But if this is as good as we're going to get, and you got Christina Ricci in there, I can't complain. I thought they did as best as they could to make it something different in that world and still make it entertaining to where you want to see what was going to happen next. I thought it was good in that sense.
Agree.
So I guess we'll throw out theories. Where do you think the second season goes?
Well, I mean, Wednesday is going to go back, I'm assuming, to Nevermore again. Did she graduate Nevermore?
No, I think she just went away for the summer. I think it was just the one semester.
Right. And then the guy got away at the end.
Yeah, he disappeared.
So then that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I just know Cousin It has to be a factor in the next season. Like, you can't have all the Addams Family and not have Cousin It get involved in the story. I feel like there may be more to Fester than we were led on to that they could probably bring back in. There were a few other mysteries that I think they kind of subtly set up that we may see payoff later on. And maybe they take it to a different location. Maybe we get out of Nevermore and, do something different there too. And I think we'll probably see more Pugsley. I didn't talk about him because he didn't make enough of an impression. He was like in 2 episodes, and I forget where I've seen that kid from, but I feel like I want to see more of that dynamic play out between her, Jenna Ortega, and the kid playing Pugsley. And we need more Lurch. How do we have only Lurch just driving the car?
Well, he's not a talker.
Yeah, but come on.
I mean, I think we'll see more of the other students, maybe more of their backstories. Also gives Jenna Ortega a break from being the center of the series all the time. Like, we'll find out exactly what the deal, the girl with the light eyes and her mother asking her to hustle, what exactly that might entail, and will it come to bite her on the ass? We'll solve the case of why the black people have no umbrellas. Little things like that I'm hoping for next season. But I think maybe since it's popular, it might be like Only Murders in the Building, where all of a sudden all of Tim Burton's old friends who he used to work with might make cameos in certain ways. That would be my prediction, because again, it's Tim Burton. It could go either way. I will say it's probably the best thing he's done in years, though.
Yeah. Do you think he'll try to get some other actors from the movies to show up, the ones that are still around? Angelica Houston, Carol Kane. I don't think he can get Pugsley because he retired, and I think he had a lawsuit recently. Well, Ariel Winter's his niece, or they're related, and there was like a whole adoption issue years ago.
Know nothing about that. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it'll be hard to get them to come back. I mean, hey, if they can find a way to fit Hubert in there, why not? From the second film. So I'm just like, or maybe even Oscar Isaac could make a cameo since he did the voice for the animated version.
That would be funny, actually. He could do anything, so why not be in this? You do Moon Knight, you could do Star Wars, why not?
Just busy.
Yeah, but he's doing a play right now, and he'll still do another movie at the same time.
Well, if they pay him enough.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just start wrapping up. So, Tamara, is there anything you want to plug? Any social media?
Anything to plug? Not for me. No, not today.
All right.
But I did enjoy coming on here to talk about Wednesday. I really like the series. I've become a fan, so.
So you definitely recommend it?
Oh yeah, totally. I definitely recommend it. It's entertaining, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, I totally recommend it if you're a fan. Even if you're a fan of the original Addams Family series with John Astin, I think it's really cool. Even if you're not used to that type of direction, I think it's a nice throwback to where it began with Charles Addams and his artwork.
I agree. I recommend it for all my criticisms of it. I still recommend it. And I'd like to dedicate this episode, she's not dead or anything, so, to my friend Yumi, because she's the one who convinced me to watch the show, and we've had many discussions about the show, and it definitely prepared me for this review of it today. So, all
right. Well, I guess with that being said, that really concludes our business for this day, and we'll see you guys next time. And hopefully, we'll be back with Tamara to talk about season 2 when it hits.
That'd be great.